Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome to Russ Can't Fly. They lied to you.
Oh my God, Russ can fly.
Buying an airplane is extremely difficult. That's my argument. Don't at me. Okay, so you see I'm standing in front of little Sammy. I had to come over and say hi. Man, it is hot out here as I'm filming this. As you can see, none of the airplanes are moving right now, including Charlie, because man, it is hot. Plus, I don't know if you can see back there, there's some buildups building. You got some towering cumulus clouds, and so there is some lightning distant east of here. And yeah, it's gonna be really interesting up there. So yeah, I'm not interested. Plus, I think the density altitude is something like 3,000 feet. And for my non-pilot folks out there, that means that if I were to get in little Sammy right now, right here on the ground, it's almost like we are at 3,000 feet already, given the density altitude. And so that's how the airplane would behave. And for an airplane like little Sammy, which has, I believe, 105 horsepower engine, might have a little bit of an issue getting it off the ground. I've flown little Sammy in the heat before, but never this hot. But at any rate, I was coming over here to see little Sammy, and it just dawned on me that, you know, you're probably wondering, what is this video all about? You know, we want to see Charlie, we want to see you fly. A lot more videos coming, I guarantee you, because me and Charlie have been having a good time. But again, I wanted to come over and see little Sammy because I do miss my little brother. I mean, he has done so much to me. But this is how they've lied to you. Buying an airplane is extremely difficult. That's my argument. Don't at me. So I don't know if you've seen some of these other YouTube videos or YouTube channels, you know, and to me, they're wonderful. Some of them, these young folks, you know, that are buying airplanes, they're restoring exotic cars, or they've flown around the world and now they are buying turboprops. One YouTuber just bought a twin engine aircraft, and everything is just sweet as pie. And it's great. You know, I don't begrudge these young folks for what they do in terms of their perspective on their airplane buying experiences. But I'm here to tell you, from my perspective, unless you are a well-heeled individual, one. Two, this has been kind of like in your family, so you're well acquainted with airplane ownership, selling airplanes, buying airplanes. Or three, you have a staff of people who can work with you. They know all the ins and outs. This person knows financing, this person knows banking, this person knows, you know, how to work with pre-buy inspectors and all that kind of stuff. If you have that kind of staff, no biggie. But for us mere mortals who kind of have to learn this on the fly, there was, you know, nobody in my family who knew anything about aviation, let alone buying an airplane. Buying an airplane? What are you talking about? But yeah, I mean, there was none of that. And I am not a well-heeled individual. I am what I would consider fairly middle class in today's standards. So for me, an airplane buying experience was extremely difficult. It was like drinking from a fire hose. And so I wanted to come on here and let you know that if you are thinking about buying an airplane, please, if you're watching some of these YouTube channels that make it seem like it's free and easy and you've never engaged this process, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I just want to put a dose of reality and do a reality check. That's all. So the first thing I'm going to say that you need to do is you need to go onto the AOP website, you know, STAT. you need to figure out all the moving parts. First of all, where are you gonna put it? And I've been doing some of my own videos on the members only section about how I went about finding my hangar, how I went about financing, pre-buy inspection, insurance, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in any of those deep dives where I actually talk about numbers, think about joining the channel, because you're gonna get all of the nitty-gritty there. So the first thing that I would recommend that you do is not be, not necessarily not watch those videos and, watch how they're buying or, selling these different aircraft or whatever, but definitely start the process of understanding all the moving parts. And that's why I'm recommending that you go to the AOPA's website, because they have some great tools on that website. So like I was saying, for instance, where are you going to put it? Hangar space in the Northeast is out of premium, and I think that's kind of the same everywhere. And so what is it going to be? Do you want it in a tie down type of situation where, he's subject to the elements, and so are these other planes? I mean, and at the end of the day, not fatal, but it's gonna do some stuff to the paint, and heaven forbid these clouds open up and there's a hailstorm. Ay, chihuahua. And so that whole thing about where tie down spaces are available, or what hangar spaces are available, or which airports, those are the types of things that you need to be thinking about right this minute. The other thing is, what kind of pilot are you? Were you like me, just little Sammy, or one of these 172s that only had 180 horsepower? Or do you have some more complex time? Do you have high performance hours? All of those things are going to be key in terms of making sure you don't get tripped up when it's time for you to get that insurance quote, because I got to tell you, these insurance companies are going to be asking you those type of questions, and if you're not able to tell them that you have some time and type in terms of the airplane that you're thinking about buying, and most of your time and type are in trainers, oof, you're in for a rude awakening, baby. And then sometimes just finding an airplane is difficult. I mean, you've been on Barnstormers and Trade a Plane and all of those different profiles where you do all this window shopping and you're going down lists and lists of airplanes, and even Facebook Marketplace and all these other places, and it's just so difficult to even find an airplane. I mean, even that in and of itself is kind of rough. But wait a minute, what am I doing here? Back to the airport. The other thing is financing. What do your financings look like? This is when the rubber meets the road, and it's not just about credit score. That's just a small speck of sand on the beach that is financing. It's more, what are you going to be buying, and what is the asking price for the airplane versus the VREF, I guess the reference for how much these airplanes are going for in the marketplace as it relates to the financial institutions. One of the things that I found out the hard way is that what people are asking and what the financial institutions are valuing these, there's a little bit of a delta, huge. But there's a little bit of a delta between those two numbers. And so what they're going to be allowing in terms of what they're going to finance and the amount they're going to give you could be somewhat less than what you are suspecting you're going to get. The other thing is interest rates. Interest rates are still crazy. And like I said, I talk about my financial situation on one of my members only videos where I talk about my financing situation, and the interest rates that they were talking about were just outrageous, and I talk about all those numbers for sure. The other thing that never gets talked about in any of these videos I see all these people buying these great airplanes and flying, and it's great, and look at how great it is, and look at my avionics. Nobody's talking about the annual. And because at some point you're going to have somebody look at this airplane, tear out the seats, take the cowlings off, look at the compressions, look at all the control surfaces, and so that's one of the things that I had to shop around for. Where am I going to get my annual done? And all of that goes into it as well. And I think finally, but one of the most important things that I didn't think about is, how are you going to purchase the airplane? Is it just going to be you by yourself? Are you going to be entering a partnership? Are you going to create an LLC and put the airplane in the LLC? And if you are going to do that, do you understand the tax consequences associated with, you know, having an airplane in an LLC, and the depreciation and amortization and all of that kind of stuff that just gets so confusing? And so, as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to think about. And so these other channels aren't actually lying to you, but they're showing you, I think, a very entertaining but somewhat Pollyanna picture of what it is for normal mortals to buy aircraft. It is a lot, and I gotta tell you, I had many sleepless nights as I was buying Charlie, just because there was so much to think about. And there was times where, you know, financing was falling through. I was worried about the seller getting impatient with what was happening, and, you know, my insurance quotes were through the roof, you know, and, you know, I didn't have, you know, a couple $100,000 just laying around to just like throw at this thing. So there was a lot to think about. So I just wanted to come on here, make this quick video, and I know this Upload Friday probably kind of sucks. And you know, it's because it's not a flying video, and I really do try to focus on these things. But as you know, I try to share every aspect of my journey specifically and what I have experienced. And when I looked around and I continued to actually go back and backtrack and look at videos that talked about, you know, some pretty popular aviation YouTubers buying airplanes, they really made it look very easy. And so I think I had a misguided impression of what it was going to take to buy an airplane. And again, I don't fault any of the young folks, you know, in any of those channels, and you may have watched some of them yourselves in terms of who they are. They're quite popular, great channels, love their content. But I just thought that just didn't feel like it was telling the whole story. And so because of that, and because of my experience and some of the things that I experienced, which doesn't mean that they had to experience it or that they did and they just didn't talk about it, or, you know, it was just me and I'm an anomaly. That's fine. I just wanted to give voice to, if you're about to engage a process of buying an airplane, just know, please, ma'am, please, sir, do your homework. There's a lot of moving parts. Again, I go back to AOPA and their website. I think some of the stuff they have on there in terms of the things that you should be thinking about is amazing. The other thing I wanted you to think about is, you know, don't feel bad if it's hard. Because a lot of times this comparative analysis thing on these YouTube videos and different social media platforms, I think somebody said something like, comparison is like the place where joy goes to die, or something like that. Bottom line, don't compare yourself with anybody else and your experiences with anybody else. Your experience is your experience. And that's why I'm, you know, taking the chance to put this out there, because I'm sure there's some people who are flaying me. Well, it's just because you had a hard time because you suck and you shouldn't have bought an airplane in the first place if you didn't know what you're doing, and you're an idiot. You shouldn't own an airplane anyway because you're an idiot. But I just wanted you to know that if you're in the middle or in the midst of trying to buy an airplane and you're having some difficulty and you may be thinking, well, something's wrong with you, or, you know, you're doing this wrong. No, it's not easy. And I know a lot of folks make it look that way, but just because they make it look that way, power of editing, I'm just saying. So just know that there's at least one person out here that, you know, bought an airplane. I have an airplane. And my experience was extremely trying on many different fronts. The insurance, trying to find a hangar, trying to get financing, trying to decide how I was going to buy the airplane, how I was going to get it, from once I did, you know, get all of those bells and whistles taken care of, the pre-buy and all that kind of stuff. How was I going to get to Texas to even get the thing? You know, was I going to fly it? And, you know, and how was that going to work given the fact that I did not have a high performance endorsement and my airplane is a high performance airplane? So it was a struggle, you know, and I will say that there was about a 2-week period there where I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought Charlie was going to slip through my fingers. And during that 2-week period, wasn't feeling too good. It was tough, you know, and unfortunately my wife and my daughter had to bear the brunt, you know, of this, you know, trying time. And, you know, if I'm being real, you know, it was really tough. You know, work was tough. You know, trying to sleep was tough. You know, eating, you know, my stomach is in knots. It was tough. Everything was tough. But as you can see, the good Lord worked it all out, you know, and I own Charlie. And, you know, although I miss my friend here, it's nice to be able to go to my hangar, pull Charlie out, and fly anytime I want to. And in fact, if I really wanted to fly today, even though it is like oven-like right now, as you could probably see, I'm sweating like crazy. I could still fly if I wanted to. I don't think it'd be a good idea, and it's just hot. I mean, it'd just be uncomfortable, and I really don't have anywhere to go or anything to do. So, you know, I figured today, we'll keep Charlie in the hangar. But I definitely wanted to come here and just give a different perspective on, and just one perspective on the airplane buying experience. That it's not Pollyanna, that it's not all rainbows and unicorns. There's parts of it that are very tough. There are hurdles to navigate. There are, you know, pitfalls and minefields and all kinds of stuff that can make it challenging. So I just wanted to come on here and give that perspective, especially if you're currently having that. Don't feel bad. It is what it is. It is a difficult thing to navigate. Okay, so I blabbed at you enough, and you know, I just wanted to provide this perspective. We'll get back to the flying, I promise. But you know, every now and then these things pop up, and I just, you know, for some reason I saw yet another, you know, very fantastic YouTube channel, very fantastic YouTuber who, you know, she just bought a twin engine airplane, and she's bubbly and entertaining and wonderful. And you know, she bought this airplane and she's given it a name, and she gave us the name, and now she's flying and it's oh so wonderful. And I was just thinking, yeah, but there's a whole lot underneath all of that. And maybe she doesn't have to travel that road. You know, maybe her dad, maybe some other friends, maybe she's different connections, all that kind of stuff. But what I wanted to do is say that is a perspective, not good, not bad, just a perspective. There are others, and one of them is flying an airplane is hard. So with that, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for your support. Again, if you want to hear the granular details on my airplane buying experience, I've been putting those in the members only section. People have been asking me, well, why are they over there? Why don't you just put them on for general consumption? Well, you know as well as I do, you put some information out there to try to be helpful, and no good deed goes unpunished. And so the members only space just allows for more of a, you know, fresh dialogue, if you will, and really good questions from people who want to engage that material. That's all. Okay, so with that, Russ Can Fly, thank you so much for your support and watching these videos and supporting the channel. I am so beyond grateful. All right, take care. Russ Can Fly. I'm out. Peace. Time for some air conditioning.